Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Wolves Den, and today we got another drawing tools video. We are finally going to do the Gann Square, and I'll touch on a couple of the other little Gann box square grid. I mean, they all damn near have the same name, but about to get into it real quick. I found this quote that I wanted to read to you because it's pretty good. It says, "Successful traders spend as much time studying themselves and their trading as studying markets. In the patterns of your best and worst trades is the information that can make you the best trader you can be." And if you don't get that, I don't know what to tell you, because as much as we spend time looking at the charts, we also need to spend as much, if not more, time looking at ourselves, because we're the ones making decisions on these trades. So if the trades aren't going the way that you would like them to go, quite often, if not every single time, that's our fault. Or I should say that's my fault, because I'm speaking of myself. If you guys can relate, awesome. You notice our little picture here. We got this chick getting super frustrated on the computer to where she just hits the button, just does the Chinese thing, just hits the button, blows it all up. But the reason I decided to have that is I have been, and I'll try to keep this short, but I've been trying to look up how to draw these Gann squares on and off for like the entire week. And you notice I've had them in the analysis videos here and there, and they've been playing out pretty well. And as you can see here, this one actually has been, matched up. Obviously I drew this after the fact, but lines up pretty darn good with it. And I gotta say, like going through like just YouTube alone, it was surprisingly hard to find a damn video on just real quick, real simple. How do I draw this? There's literally 2 points. Where do I put those 2 points? What am I trying to line up? And like nobody would say. Like, most of the videos, it was already drawn before they started recording, just like this. But I'm going to delete this and I'm going to show you how to do it, because you shouldn't have to search forever just to learn how to do something. I mean, jeez, it's 2022, people. Come on. It's in the Stone Age. That's what the internet's for. But all right. Also, I got a little surprise for you here. You ready for this one? We are on the polka dot daily chart. What do you think we're going to see here? Bam. Look at that. We have bullish divergence. Yeah. As you can tell, we got lower lows, but down here, we've got some higher lows. And actually, it even just about perfectly lined up with this previous momentum wave. So that tells me we've been looking for a turnaround. Looking for a reversal. Time to, hoist up the sails and get this ship a-moving. But all right. For what you came here for. So we have this guy right here. It is a Gann Square. Not to be confused with a Gann box or a Gann Square fixed. And you'll remember in the, I think it was the last one of these videos that I did was the Gann fan. And I was grateful to see that, it was actually helping people. I even heard from a friend of mine who even told me in person, like, hey, dude, that was awesome. So I've been looking forward to doing this Gann Square, but I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. Wanted to make sure I was telling you guys how to do it right. And to be perfectly honest with you, I never got a definitive answer on like the way you are supposed to do it. So I probably, even just tonight, I've drawn like 40 or 50 of these damn things. Played with like every kind of way I can think of. And the one thing that's really strange is it's very forgiving. So like no matter how, but as long as you are lining things up with some specific point, you're going to get some correlation here and there. It's just a matter of how much. Like, are you going to get correlation on like, practically every little thing it crosses? And at that point, it's more of an art than a science, I suppose. Because I mean, I even tried doing the mathematical thing, locking the price ratios, coming down from like highs to lows and squaring it up so it was perfectly 45. And honestly, no matter like how many times I tried to do it like all technical like that, it never came out as good as when I just wing it. So I think this is one of those cases where you just got to trust your gut. My bad for rambling. Let's get into it. I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go here. So when you come over here to your Ganns and fibs, go down to the Gann Square. And like usual, you are going to want to pick, you know, like a high spot or a low spot or a low spot or a high spot. You know, whatever. And keep in mind, depending on like how far you're going, one thing that I keep running into that is like infuriating is this is that second point. So it's not too bad when you first draw it because you can like pull this down, and even though the cursor's here, the point was way down here off the screen. But say, okay, we ran out of space and I want to like come back, you know, shrink this up so I got some more room so I could grab this point, maybe pull it out. And again, running out of room. And by now the candles are so damn small that, you know, it's hard to see what you're trying to line up. So keep that in mind. Obviously, this is the daily chart. If I'm drawing this thing this big, I mean, we're projecting out to like December of this year, which I mean isn't necessarily a bad thing, but as you actually look at that, actually played out fairly well. That's what I'm talking about. It's forgiving. So, you know, you could play around with it, kind of find what suits your needs, what you're looking for. You know, how far are you trying to project beyond the current price, beyond the current daily candle in this case. But some things that I've found that work out particularly well, and we'll get into what these different lines and arcs are, is this curve right here. Well, okay, before I even do that, so obviously it is a grid square, and I've got some of the lines hidden, like it'll start with lines all the way around the square, but not entirely necessary at the moment. So you got this grid 5 by 5, and as you can see, we have some angles. If you remember from the Gann fan video, this guy cuts straight through these intersections. So if this is your 1 by 1, your very first square, this line down the middle is intersecting at 1 by 1. And then you come out here to these orange ones and you can change all the colors, all that good stuff. Come out here to these, and you notice it intersects up here at 2 by 1 and over here at 1 by 2. Come down here, same thing, 4 by 1, 1 by 4. And it's got, these levels are your actual grid lines. And I usually have some more of these turned off, but it depends. Sometimes they actually play out and you get some like reversals on a timeline. But, you know, you got your 1 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8. And then same thing in the other direction. And then you got your arcs. Before I show that, we'll talk about it a little bit. So the way it comes up with these arcs is obviously this first one here, which I've heard referred to as the kill zone, is going right, you know, from the end of one to the end of the other one. And it's like a nice, you know, tangent arc, quarter of a circle. And they all are, you know, each one's like a quadrant or just one corner of a circle. But you'll see the next one here starts at number 2, ends at number 2. But then you get this second one that is cutting through the intersections. Over here, it's your 1.5, 1.5. And then it's actually on the other side, cuts through the intersection. Same thing, 3, 4, 3 intersection, 4 intersection, 5, and The intersection would be over here, but I got it hidden. So that's how it's coming up with these lines. They're not, you know, just completely random. They're not necessarily, you know, fixed. You can scale it other ways, or if you hold shift, it will keep that ratio and you can just scale the size. When you first go to draw it, it will stay in a 1-to-1 ratio until you actually, like, I believe you have to, once you drop it in, then you can stretch in one direction. But it's kind of nice, especially because if you're trying to keep your 45, say, along an actual like 45 degrees from whatever point you're starting at. It's just, that was a nice thing that they did to start it out with. But we'll do this. We'll pull our origin point back up to the top. And you can even tell, just even if you're just like eyeballing it, let's say you just pick, and usually I'm looking at these, like the fan lines first to see how they line up. And you can see even right here where I just eyeballed it and dropped it kind of half-assed over here. I mean, just with these lining up, I paid no attention to anything else. Look at what we got here. So support off of here, kind of dipped through there, but came back up along the top of it. And intersections tend to be like convergence points. Good places just to keep a lookout if the price starts heading near it. Again, came down here, support, resistance. Came up along this line still, came down along this line. Look at that. That's kind of crazy where we just literally jumped from one line to the other. Came back. You know, I was finding support along this line. Finally punched through. A little bit of support there. Had a reversal right on this line. Again, finding more support on both of these guys. By the time we finally passed through this one, started heading back up, got to this convergence point where we got, you know, 3 lines all intersecting. Had another reversal, but just kept following that fan line. And as you can see, I mean, I didn't do any math. I didn't do anything super complicated to figure out where I was, you know, dropping this second point. Literally just looking and saying like, okay, let me line up these, you know, with the bottom of the wicks, with the top of the wicks, at least as close as you can get. You know, you're never going to have it all perfectly. You know, I saw this lined up a little bit. I'm like, all right, it's not a bad spot. And there you go. So obviously that is the loosest way you can do it, is literally just eyeballing it and saying like, okay, we'll see where it goes. Now, I've seen where some of these people that are doing them, again, like I didn't actually hear anybody saying specifically, but I looked at so many of them from videos. I even did like the Google image search and looked at like every one that I could find like this, just to see like, all right, what was lining up that they could have used to like orient this square. And one thing I did notice was, it seemed like a lot of people were, you know, going off of this 1-to-1 box and picking a point, you know, somewhere up in like the first leg of the trend. And so let's say, I mean, you can you can even go off of the little that first, you know, 1-to-1 arc there, the kill zone. I mean, you can even line that up, but it's not always as good with that one. But let's say just random. Let's say we pick the bottom on this guy, and what tends to work out good is this is the, you know, the 1x4 and the 4x1 over here. And if you take the intersection of that fan line along with your, you know, your number 1 horizontal, and you put that, let's say we'll even go up here. So you put that intersection at the bottom of that first little dipping wick right there. And just take a look. Let's see what we got. Support there. Continue along that line. Had a little resistance bounce there. Little reversal on this line. Found support right there. I mean, you get the picture. Following this line, following this one. reversal on that one, reversal on that one, support over here, reversal off of that one. As long as you are, sticking to specific points, rather than just being like, okay. I mean, shoot, even that wasn't that bad. That was completely random. I could just close my eyes and be like, I swear it's in the same spot. Oh, well. So you kind of see what I'm going for here. So, yeah, that intersection, or in the case that, it's over here, you could use this guy here. I found that it works better going off of this intersection as opposed to this one. For whatever reason, like, even though they're practically the same thing, it's just things seem like they were just slightly off when I tried to use the arc. But I mean, you could potentially use where the 45 and that first arc intersect. That 45 is like, that's the big one. Like, Gann was a big proponent, of this 1-to-1 ratio line. He had this thing about everything being in harmony and being in balance. And so having that 1-to-1 ratio is just like the epitome of that harmony for him. And it works out too. I mean, if we just, take this 1-to-1, the 45 degree, and let's do where the 45 and the 2x2 intersect. Let's put that at the low over here. Oh man, see what I mean about running out of space? All right, at the intersection, what do we got? Yeah, still support there. Look at that. Big resistance along there. Yeah, it's still basically hanging out, just flip-flopping back and forth, but a little heavy on the wicks, but still found support along that. We came down, rode up inside that channel. Support. A little bit off on the times, whereas we were like hitting right on reversals on the one we did a minute ago. And again, that's why I hate to say like there's one true way to do it, because if we, jump back in the chart, start drawing it over there, there might be, picking a different point that lines up a lot better. And honestly, like, regardless of how you're doing it, if it lines up a lot better and you're getting, much better, like, I was going to say data, but you're getting much better correlation, why wouldn't you want to use that? I mean, that's what you're looking for. So, I mean, whatever gets the end result that you're going for, really. But another one, I like using the 1-to-1 intersection. It's got like a 4-way convergence right there. You got your 1-to-1 fan line, your 1.5 arc, and then your 2 number ones on the grid. So let's say we took that down to the bottom of that wick right there. Not even the bottom. I almost want to come down here and put it here, but just out of curiosity, just to pick one that's irregular. See what we got. Yeah, kind of reverse off that resistance there. Just, again, one candle off right there, one candle off right there. Still, bounced off that one. Yeah, I pretty much had the reversal on that one. Came through here, up, little pullback, then kept going. I mean, you can see the wicks still going off the lines over there. All right, let's put it on that other one that normally I would probably do this one more than I would do that previous one. So let's see here. Yeah, coming off like almost on the bodies right there, but still, wicking down to there. Pulled up along that one. Started dumping right. We got to that line. Came back up. And then pushed through. Came back and retested. Support. Hit. Pulled back a little bit. Then came up. More support. Choppy when we got to this part. And that puts us right on a arc right now. So I think you get the picture of what we're going for here. And, you know, try it out. Try different intersection points, you know, because another big part of that's going to be, you know, how much further out are you trying to drag this thing? And keep in mind, the bigger you make it, the further you drag it out, you know, the bigger the gaps are in between. So if you are indeed, you know, using these as like an indicator for reversals or support or resistance, you know, you're going to be waiting a lot longer for it to get to the next line, as opposed to, let's say we came down on the 1 hour, and that is useless. All right, let's see. We're down on the 1 hour. Let's say we... And see what I mean? How it keeps that, it locks that ratio in place when you first do it. But let's... this is going to be kind of janky, but... Actually, right there, I was looking at this. I was seeing where the tallest wick in this first leg intersects with the number 1 line right there. And it's actually not even terrible where it's at. Look at that. Like, I didn't even get a chance to try to get any of the fan lines to line up either. But, you know, it came up, bounced off, came back. Just look at that, constantly hitting resistance right there before finally punching through, hit resistance at the fan line, came back, had a reversal right on that line, punching, 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 found resistance up here. It's interesting. We're definitely wicking through a little bit. You could probably adjust this to be a little nicer. Let's see what happens if we line up. Okay, so I'm lining up, you know, the 1x4 fan line with the number 1 yellow line. Let's see how that changed it. What the heck? I did not do that. All right. So, yeah, resistance up here. The body, but yeah, ran up here before getting to the intersection. Pulled down along the top side. Had some support there, pulled back out. Support, support, even though we're wicking down a little bit. You can almost call that one support, but got that final bounce off the outside of the line. Reversed upward right at the vertical. Just to get trapped up by the next one. A little resistance there on the peak. Kind of hanging out right there at, what's that? 1, 2, 3, right there at the 3 ring. The 3 ring circus. So what do you guys think? Is that, does it seem useful to you? Is it interesting? I kind of like it because it's a combination of like 3 different styles of trend line, not kind of trend lines, like support and resistance lines. You've got your horizontal, you've got your vertical, but then you've also got your, you know, your Gann fan angles, your fan dangles, and then you've got your arcs. And you can see where it's helpful to have all of them, because I mean, you could just see where like stuff like this, where you're, you know, you're getting resistance, but it's not necessarily a straight line, or I guess could be a straight line, but you know, where you're going to get a straight line going this direction from short, like ahead of time at least. So the fact that it tends to follow the arcs is very interesting. But that's on the 1 hour. And I noticed the lower you go on the time frames, the tougher it seems to get. I mean, at least, I don't know. I haven't gone through a bunch of different assets. I didn't go too far back in time, but let me pick something different. We've already been looking at that trend. We're on the 15-minute. And let's say... Oh, I'm just going to pick this guy up here. And I ran out of room already. Let's say we line up. I'm going to take that bottom right there. So you can see where this guy's intersecting at the bottom right there. Let's see what we got. Look at that support there. Had a bump there. A little bump back up there. We got came below. Bounced off, bounced off. Support along here. Came around that intersection, flipped to the top side. Again, finding support. Yeah, just wrapping around. You can see, like, that's what I'm talking about in the smaller time frames. It gets a little bit more, I don't know, a little rough, a little sketchy where things don't always line up. I mean, it never lines up perfectly, but you get more like whole candles going beyond the lines. But again, you know, we drew it pretty big, so there's, you know, a lot of big gaps here. Look at that reversal on that one. Support. Yeah, weak support. Strong support. Or sorry, resistance. Again, came right up into that three-way intersection. Rode along here before we broke through. Some support there, a little reversal there. So you see what we're doing here, and I think you can kind of tell from there. You know, we still have all this chart left over here. So in reality, if we're trying to be around, you know, current time frame, let's say we picked off that peak. And let's try do the 1-to-1 at the bottom right there. It's not quite as great, but again, part of that's just the smaller time frame. I mean, it still plays out though, still follows, but it doesn't seem quite as good when you get over to these little ring channels. Did have a reversal right there at that one. Yeah, a little bit there too. A little late on that one, but all right, what do you guys think about the Gann Square? Honestly, I usually have, depending on what I'm doing, I'll have some of these turned off, especially if, like, you know, if I'm over here somewhere. And yes, oh, I should mention also, you can draw it that way. Did it? I don't know. Maybe, I can't remember if we did or not. You could draw it any which way you want to draw it. You know, all four quadrants. But, you know, if I'm out here and we have all this empty space on a high time frame, you know, I don't need these lines cluttering things up. That's actually not the one I want. So I'll start turning stuff off just to unclutter the chart a little bit. And I left the background colors on for the sake of doing this video. I started sometimes turning them off, sometimes just making them real faint to where it's kind of subtle and it's not turning the whole chart into a friggin' rainbow. But y'all can do whatever you want. And just to set a touch on the other ones here, I'll leave that up as a comparison. Hold on. So you still have these two other, you have the Gann box and the Gann Square fixed. This is fixed ratio. So as you can see, you're controlling from this point, which I actually like, which is nice. I wish I could do that on this one. Then I wouldn't have to keep scaling down and dragging off the screen. But you can't change, like how on the other one, you could stretch it this way or you could stretch it that way. Can't do that. It stays fixed, as it says, at that like 1-to-1 ratio. Like, you know, what the heck? You know, this is equally long as that. And it has its uses, I mean, especially if you're trying to keep that 1-to-1 ratio, but at the same time, you know, depending on what you're doing, because if you notice, like I'm stretching the chart and it's changing where the candles are in relation to that square. So that can be a little odd. So unless you're like leaving your chart locked, but even still, okay, it stays if I lock it. So yeah, at that point you'd have to leave your chart ratio locked. So maybe if you went from a high to a low, drew out your two lines. Whoops. I'll show you how you can use that real quick. So let's say we're going from this low to this high. You draw a straight horizontal, straight vertical, and then you would want those two to be the same. One way you could do it. Let's do that. So there's 45. So you want that point to intersect with the 45. Now you got a 1-to-1 ratio square. Come in, lock price to bar ratio. And then you could say draw it, line that 1-to-1 intersection up with the high point. And now it'll stay there. Oops, unless you drag it like an idiot like me. So yeah, that's really all there is to that one. It's same thing as the other, just fixed ratio. And the third one is this Gann box. Now this icon is a little deceptive because, let me get on a higher time frame because it can go ham on you, that's for sure. Come on. Oh, son of a, I forgot to lock that. Okay. Gann box. Say we snap to the bottom. Yeah. It is a big old hot mess of lines, but there is a rhyme and a reason to it. If you actually look closely, you'll notice essentially you are getting a box with a Gann fan in every corner. And I actually played with these like a year ago. I think I did it on like the Bitcoin daily chart even. And you do actually, I mean, look at that. We stayed up in this channel before it came down on this line. Hopped over here. Here we actually just broke through everything. But you'll notice it also has your Fibonacci levels. And so it's kind of interesting. Okay, you say, all right, we got the 382 fib here. 618. I wonder. Well, you can't add more to it, but you could change things if you wanted to. If you wanted to get rid of one here and do like a... Oh, yeah, that's right. Say we did something like that. Got your 6.5. I got a little golden pocket. Look at that. Found support in the pocket. Found resistance in the pocket. Interesting, and it came right up to an intersection. But you will also notice that these fib levels also correspond to intersections from these fan angles. So there's a lot going on there, but in reality, like not Not a whole lot. It just seems like it because you're coming from 4 different sides with these angles, and you get, you know, a nice little pretty etch-a-sketch picture. What do they used to call those things where you would draw like those line patterns when you went around in a circle? I don't even remember. But you could, you know, do that, copy paste, overlay it, come off the peak to the next one. See what you got going on. Man, right dead center too. Look at that. So yeah, that's what that guy does. There's a little bit of like rhyme and reason behind drawing those. Like I basically just dragged it on the chart. I didn't do anything with it. From what I remember, when I was looking them up like a year ago, they were talking about, you know, locking your price ratio and trying to go for like a 45 and all that good stuff. But if you guys want to know more about those Gann boxes, I don't know, drop a line in the comments and I'll go back and do some little refresher courses on that guy. How we doing here? 36 minutes. Well, since you're here, I guess we could look at Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing? Oh, well, we're out of the square. There's still got a little bit of room left until we get to this little support line over here. What else? Oh man, we're right on a spider line too. Look at that spider line and the support line intersecting. Hopefully. Oh, that's not good though. Well, as you can see, let's see. We got higher highs. Just barely, but lower highs. I mean, that is just barely. Money flow, you know, kind of staying wavy, going sideways basically, but it is going sideways in the green. VWAP, looking like we may be hitting the low point on that one. Again, would be nice to see it pick back up, take a bounce off that trend line, which not gonna lie, you know, I'm probably gonna be looking at having a trade there. Oh, trend line went bye-bye. Again, you know, the spider line. This is the 2-hour chart right here. Get that out of the way. RSIs pulled together as they head down. That's really hoping this just... What happened? Really hoping that we're just zigzagging here and we zag right back up. Because if we do that with these, you know, tight together, potentially, you know, switch over to the red like that, I would be very happy. Let's see here. Yeah, you can see on this one, this is the one that I set like a week ago. I was going off of that 1-to-1 intersection to the low point right there. Had a reversal off of that. Yeah, dropped across after that one. Yep, you can see how we're going with it. Again, you know, if it's your first time watching this, you want to know how to draw these spider lines, we got a video for that. We got an app for that. Not really, just a video. But you could tell it's another very, very good method of finding support resistance lines that, I mean, literally go all the way across the chart, all the way back to the last bear market and beyond. What was that? The hell is that? Huh. It's a label off of that. That's interesting. Let's check Ethereum real quick for you too while we're at it. Yep, didn't pull out quite yet. Got to bounce off of that resistance, I guess. You can see how he played off of that. We can get rid of this guy now. Let's see, down on the 15. Curling back up, VWAP crossing. RSI staying fairly tight. All right, all right, all right. Money flow, again, you know, we're kind of technically on the downside, but it is going sideways. Well, kind of angled down a little bit now, but could be that we are, you know, reaching the end of this nice little pump area and that we might cool off for a little bit. Again, keep in mind we're going into the weekend. Like damn near every single weekend lately has been going sideways. So we'll see what happens with that. We've also got, you know, lower high over here. It's starting to trend downward a little bit, but you know, it'd be nice if we pick this back up just like we did over here, over here. You know, I've been kind of getting like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, barely a third. 1, 2, maybe we'll get like one more and bounce off of this line. Maybe. But all right, I'm going to cut it at that. Hope everyone has an absolutely fantastic weekend. I'm sure I'll see you, but well, okay, I won't see you. I'm sure I'll talk to you prior sometime tomorrow. I don't know. If you're lucky. But drop a comment down there. Let me know what you think. Was this helpful? What do you think about the Gann Square? I know, you know, a lot of market cipher maxis don't even necessarily use too much indicators here on the screen. While at the same time, I know, you know, some of the better traders that I know of that are using market cipher, you know, are always looking for good tools to help them find support, resistance, entry, exit, potential trend prediction, all that good stuff. So, hey, it's another tool for the toolbox. That's the whole point of this channel, is we're trying to learn, get better at it. And I mean, if nothing else, I just want to know, you know, what these things do, how they work, are they helpful? Am I never going to try it again? Or am I going to continue to use it? So, you know, I've been testing out these the Gann Squares for about a week now, and I gotta say, I like it. I really do. Like, I was liking the Gann fan prior to this, but this one basically has the Gann fan already in it, not to mention a bunch more. So, whew, time for something to drink here. All right, love y'all. Stay free. Keep an eye on your money, and remember, the real alpha dog of the pack charts his own future. Later.